This month of the How's All That Workin' For You podcast is sponsored by J. Brooks Coffee Roasters in Memphis, Tennessee. Urban Joe is the house favorite at J. Brooks for cold brew coffee. The legendary flavor of Urban Joe will ignite your taste buds with captivating shades of cocoa and cream. With a pleasantly balanced, bold body, the dark roast lover will fall head over heels for this roast. Cold brew is very quick and simple to make. It contains 2/3 less acids than hot brew coffee, so it's a perfect choice for anyone who has reflux or needs a stomach-friendly option for coffee. And if you make cold brew at home, you can make both cold and hot coffee with your solution. Everyone loves an adventure story. Make your day an epic adventure with a steaming cup or cold brew of Urban Joe. To order this signature blend for yourself and learn more about J. Brooks Coffee, click the link in the show notes or visit jbrookscoffeeroasters.com. That's the letter J, brookscoffeeroasters.com. You are officially invited to create some breathing room. This is the absolute best podcast to find the strategies, resources, and motivation you need to stop drowning in overwhelm, break free from hustle culture, and live out your God-given purpose. I'm your host, Rachel Baker, and girl, I've been there, done that. It is my God-given purpose to help you find space for an intentional life so you can confidently live in those strengths, skills, and passions that light you up and serve others. I know you are ready to create some breathing room, so let's do it together. Welcome to episode 17 of Create Some Breathing Room. We are in a series where we are talking about supporting our families. And I know a lot of you listening to this episode right now are actually really good at supporting your families. But the problem is you've got that part down, but we don't quite have down how to support our families while also creating some breathing room in our lives, right? So this series, we really want to focus in on that, how we are taking care of our people and taking care of ourselves. Because it is easy to get caught up in the endless tasks that come with this season of life. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels important. And it never feels like there are enough hours in the day to get it all done. Anybody out there feeling this with me? Is it just me? So I want to talk about how we can be proactive when it comes at us all at once instead of what a lot of us do, which is reacting every time something new comes along that needs our attention. So this is a huge change maker when it comes to creating some breathing room in your life. If you can get to a point where you are living intentionally and you are able to be proactive instead of reactive, it's a big game changer. So I really want to hone in on this today. The first thing I want you to realize is, as much as it doesn't seem like it, not everything is urgent. It all feels urgent, especially when someone else is coming at you saying, "Mom, this thing has to get done right now. I need it right now." Or, "Hey, honey, right now we need this." Like, it can kind of feel overwhelming, right? But the fact of the matter is, if you look at everything on your plate, everything that needs to get done, it's not all on fire. So a big piece of starting to get intentional and proactive and supporting our families well is identifying what actually is urgent. What is the right now, have to get it done versus what could wait a little bit? What can I put on the back burner, even if it's just till tomorrow? Or maybe it can go to next week. Not everything has to be right this very second. So if you can pause a moment and filter things through that lens, that's going to calm things down a lot. And then the next piece of this, not everything is really important. Now, that's not to say that someone doesn't feel like it's really important. Sometimes the things that especially our kiddos think is super important, we want to validate that means a lot to them. But in the grand scheme of things, what's really important and what's maybe not so important? And one analogy I like to use for this that helps me a lot is I like to think of, we're spinning all these plates in the air. So if you think about all the spinning plates you have, all the things you're trying to juggle and keep track of, some of those plates are made of glass. And if they hit the ground, they're shattering. That's it. That plate's done. There's no coming back from that one. But some of those plates might be made of plastic, a pretty durable plastic. And maybe if they fall, they'll bounce a little, but you can pick them back up and keep going. With that analogy in mind, think about all these things that are on your to-do list, all these things that need to get done. Which ones are made of glass and which ones, maybe they're plastic? I've told my kids on all my list of things to do, if I don't pay the electric bill, that's a glass plate. Like, we don't have electricity. The lights are out. Our fridge doesn't work. There are all these things. I've got to pay this bill. And getting you that new toy or drawing pad or whatever it is, like, I know you'd like to have that. I'd like for you to have it, but it's not quite as important as paying the electric bill. So not everything is quite that drastic, but it helps to filter things through this idea of which ones are glass. It's a really big deal if they fall because they're going to shatter, and which ones are plastic. They might fall, but you can pick it back up and still take care of business. Putting all of this together, the urgent versus not urgent, important versus not important, truly in the big scheme of things, this is going to help you filter through what is actually a priority. And we want to be able to identify the biggest priorities as we are supporting our family, as we are working from home, as we are taking care of our kids, all the roles that we play, right? You want to know this is actually a top priority. And this is something that felt really important and really urgent, but at the end of the day, it's not going to break our family if it doesn't happen. It's not going to, the lights aren't getting shut off, right? Or whatever that looks like for you. Because then once we've identified these priorities, then we're able to protect our priorities while showing up for our family. Hey, it's Rachel, your go-to encourager and coach. I know you love our podcast talks, but imagine taking that connection to the next level in person. I'm more than a clarity coach. I'm someone who's been in the trenches, juggling all the things. I get it. I've danced with chaos, overloaded schedules, and the struggle to prioritize self-care. But I found the rhythm. And I've got the strategies to help your ladies create some breathing room. So if you're organizing an event, whether it's a conference, church gathering, or retreat, and you want a speaker who brings humor, real talk, and a dose of inspiration, I'm your girl. Let's chat about making your event a memorable one. Visit racheldbaker.com/speaking. That's racheldbaker.com/speaking. I can't wait to connect. So if you do work from home, if you're a work from home mom and you've got all these big tasks in your business, same filter. It's the same thing. Which items on your list are deal breakers? Which ones are made of glass? You've got to pay for, if you've got an email list and you don't pay to keep up that subscription, then you don't have that anymore, or your website, or whatever it is that you're doing. If those things have to get paid for the business to continue, those are glass plates, right? But maybe you were hoping to create this post for Instagram or go live on this thing, or maybe you were hoping to reach out and call this or email this person. But if it doesn't happen, is the business going down the toilet? Maybe not. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. I go through this every single week, especially in the summer months when we're all at home. I've got to look all the time. What on even just today, this one day, I have this whole list. Which of these items is the most urgent and important? Those go to the top. And which ones are not so urgent, not so important? Those go to the bottom, or maybe they just move to a completely different day. Maybe they go on next week, or maybe I ditch them all together. It just depends on what it is. But knowing these are the top priorities, I knock them out in the pockets of time that I have so that I can also show up for my family. I'm not trying to work 24/7, and I can do both. I want to tell you from the very beginning that there's no balance here. People talk about balancing, and we'll talk about this some more in other episodes, but the whole balancing work and family, what even is that? What does that mean? I've never understood that phrase. It makes no sense to me. And maybe because I'm a visual person, but I feel like I'm balancing a million different things. Some of it's going to fall. Some of it's going to hit the ground. My job is to make sure it's not the things that are made of glass. And one of the most fragile made of glass things is my family. That's the thing that gets protected. That gets the top priority, right? Try to think through all the things through this filter and protect the things that are at the top of the list. Everything else will sort itself out. You'll find it a home. So I really wanted this one to be short, sweet. I wanted to give you something good to kind of chew on as we wrapped it up. And I want you to know if this still feels kind of overwhelming for you, this like, oh, there's too much. How do I filter it? How do I sort it? I have a training on my website for this very purpose. It's called Overcome the Overwhelm, because that's what I felt like I was doing when I put this into practice. It is 6 videos. There's a workbook. There's email support from me. It's just a quick training, and you get a step-by-step walkthrough for the process of how to do all of this in a really practical way. It's going to serve you. It's going to serve your family and help you protect those priorities that matter most to you. If you want to grab that, if you want to check it out, read more about it, it is linked in the show notes. And you can also hop over to racheldbaker.com/courses. And you can find all the information there. If that sounds like something that would be helpful for you, please go grab it. That's what it's there for. It's quick, it's easy, it's affordable, and I want you to be successful. I want you to feel successful at this, so then you feel good about creating some breathing room for yourself. You've got this. Thanks so much for listening today. Be sure to check the show notes to get links for all the resources mentioned in this episode. As always, your reviews make such a difference, so thank you for taking the time to leave those for us. Your ratings and thoughts mean so much. I love reading each and every one. As we wrap up today, please remember, life can feel crazy and overwhelming sometimes, but you will never regret taking the time to create some breathing room.